Psst. Can I borrow your finger traps? Fine. Can I borrow yours? Hello, my babies. My name is Jo. I review TV shows and movies online, all in this channel. I've just finished reviewing Silo, which was pretty great, and now I'm reviewing Severance, which, well, the episode in itself wasn't as good as the finale of last season, but those last few frames, guys. Anyway, I'm also reviewing Ted Lasso, just finished reviewing Squid Game. I will be reviewing Prime Target, Yellow Jackets, The White Lotus. A lot of things are coming to the channel. And I've just watched On Call, the new Troy and Belisario show, which happens to also be the new Dick Wolf show. What? And it was good. It was good. Anyway, I'm reviewing it on my Patreon, so join. The last few frames is what everyone is going to be talking about, right? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what it is, but let me explain. Potentially, this is a delusional theory. Potentially, this is a serious theory. It depends on the turnout of the show. But what we see, first of all, the first episode of season 2 was good. I enjoyed it. It was a bit confusing. There are a lot of things that changed but didn't. And really what, to me, got me stuck to the screen screaming that I wanted the next episode was not only the confusion of the fact that we don't get to see the people from the outside, was the confusion of the last few frames, where we see Mark doing his little work, and we see on his file is 68% complete, and then we see a really short frame of Gemma 68% complete, and there's vitals and there's information about her. So 1, we know she's alive. 2, we know that Mark S is working on her. But what is he working on? Because we never find out what they actually do. They don't know what they actually do. In fact, this is a a prominent theme of the idea that we are such a small cog in a big corporation that sometimes we don't know who we are actually working for, what work we are actually doing, and it could be doing real harm to someone else. And in this case, he is, because what is he doing to her? I think I know. But let's just recap it a little bit. Gemma was Mark's wife. Outside Mark. And she died in a car crash. Or he thought she died in a car crash, but she did not. I think it's a bit obvious what's happening here. Lumon is a huge ass corporation with hands everywhere. This is what we learn, that Mark's sister doesn't even want to go to the police when Mark is awake outside, because she knows that they have their hands on the police, because they have their hands on everything. So isn't it plausible that they would be on the lookout for people who are almost dead or could easily be explained as being dead because they were in an accident, had a heart attack or whatever else, and then they take those people, they erase their memories, they do the severance procedure only permanently, and then they use them as corporate slaves. It has to be what it is, right? I feel like everyone will agree on this. They are creating corporate slaves. I'm not being delusional here. So Gemma, because we never see Gemma on the outside, and everything we know about her from the outside is that she's dead. So for sure, Gemma is like a permanent inside person. She's permanently on the offices of Lumon. But how do they control these people, right? Because surely it isn't enough to erase their memories. I mean, we see this in the first season with Helly. She doesn't have her memories from the outside, well, most of them, but she still has a personality. You know, she's still very much in control of her own actions. She makes decisions. She's a very vibrant, determined personality. So she doesn't have her memories, but she isn't a robot either. However, when we look at Gemma, doesn't she act a little bit like a robot? Like her inside persona, her inside person, I guess? She doesn't show much emotion, does she? She only shows a bit of emotion when she spends that day with Mark and Ellie, and then later on she tells him that was like the best part of her life, because her life is so short, it's just those few hours. And remember that the work that they are doing, the macro data that they are refining, is something that evokes emotion. They identify the cluster of numbers by the way it makes them feel. It's anger, it's happiness, it's probably sadness, disgust, and surprise and fear, right? The 6 core emotions that we have as people that have been studied to hell over the decades. They eliminate clusters of numbers that evoke emotion in them. And these clusters of numbers that evoke emotion are being eliminated from somewhere from those people. So when Mark is picking out a cluster of numbers that potentially makes him happy or sad or angry, he is putting them in the trash, and this cluster of numbers corresponds to something in Gemma, in that last scene. And if if Lumon needs corporate slaves that are emotionless, isn't it plausible that the macro data refinement is really just erasing the emotion out of these people? Somehow they have managed to translate the core emotions that we have as people into visible numbers, into visible code that is then deciphered by these macro data refiners, and they eliminate them. So really what they are eliminating with these numbers are the capacity of these people, these corporate slaves, to feel emotions. They don't feel angry, they don't feel sad, they don't feel happy, they don't feel frustrated, whatever the hell else. And they are just perfect corporate robots. It has to be that, right? The macro data that they are refining are the emotional, biological code or whatever of those people. And remember what they say, that almost no project ever goes to 100% complete. They can almost never finish the project, or they can almost never finish refining whatever they are refining in whichever project they are working on before the project goes, wherever the hell it goes. Which means they are never truly able to eliminate or refine all of the emotional capacity of every person they have worked on. But we know one person they managed to do, because in the last season, Ellie managed to put a project to 100%. Could that have been the kid? Could that have been the child that is now their boss? I don't think so. I don't think so, because she takes out a little toy and she's like enjoying herself playing it. And I feel like if they had been able to take out all of her emotions, she would just be the perfect corporate robot. But also, can you take out all the emotions of a person? Can you codify all of their capacity for emotion, all of their personality traits to a point that all of them can be eliminated? Because surely emotion and emotional states are way too connected to our capacities and skills as people to be able to be completely eliminated. So maybe the girl was the project that Helly was working on, but the fact that she still enjoys the game just means that there's no project that, even if you take it to 100% complete, would completely eliminate the emotion and the humanity out of people, out of these corporate robots, right? So to me, there's a chance that the project that Helly took to 100% could be that girl. But also, there are so many, Lumon companies around the world, Lumon locations, that that's what would make the most sense, right? The people that they are working on a specific location then are moved to another location to work there, right? Anyway, this is what I think they are doing. They are reprogramming people, but specifically they are taking out their emotions so that they are better at being corporate robots. This is what I think is happening. Which is an insane thing to do, because we know from last season, from Helly's little voyage into the outside, we know that they want to do this to everyone. This is, I'm assuming, the end goal is to create perfect corporate robots, to create the perfect workforce, so they can continue to make more and more and more, because this is what corporations want. This is what, the stage of capitalism we are on is just, there's not enough labor force, so they have to resort to the most ridiculous things, like banning abortions, or making corporate slaves, to have a labor force. Anyway, that's what I think. Tell me if I'm being delusional, or if I'm being reasonable, because lately I've been quite reasonable, people. But anyway, that's what I think about what they are doing, the work that they are doing. But let's talk about the rest of the episode. One thing that is also important to mention is the fact that Ellie, I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce her name, lied to them. Baby girl lied about where she was. And I'm thinking either she doesn't want to tell them who she is and that she's part responsible for everything that is happening, or that is not Helly. Because if we thought about it, that could be the actual granddaughter of the person who founded the company, couldn't it? Just infiltrating, seeing what everyone else knows, trying to balance things out. Because, I mean, the changes they say they implemented to make the company better, what was it? The pineapple game? These people are insane. There is no doubt in my mind that they are still prisoners there. The changes mean absolutely nothing, and in fact, they just made it even more ridiculous, because what do you mean they put a child as their boss? Isn't that just so funny that it's such a ridiculous, stupid job that a child could do it? And also, who is that child? Guarantee you, no parent would allow their child to have a part-time job in Lumon's severance floor. So what happened to her? What could have possibly happened to her? She almost died in some circumstance or other, and Lumon took advantage. And now she's a permanent resident of the severed floor. Because, oh my god, I was forgetting about this. Irving, what did my man see outside? He saw all those paintings of what? The elevator that Gemma took down at the end of the season. The elevator for the permanent residents of the severed floor. And what else do we know? We know from Petey's map that somewhere in the corridors, it leads to a group of houses. So that's where they freaking go. There are houses somewhere in the severed floor, somewhere underground, surely, where the permanent residents of a severed floor live. And the permanent residents are who? The people outside who almost died in one way or another, and Lumon took advantage of the hands they have in everything to take them with them. So on the outside they are pronounced dead, and then they are the cause of a lot of grief, and on the inside they are just slave robot corporate workers. Oh, and by the way, do we know? No, we know. Gemma died, and then Mark only joined afterwards. Isn't this the perfect corporate plan? Let's take advantage of a bunch of dead people, and then trick their family members into coming to work for us to forget their grief. I'm so curious to know about, because surely this can't be their single business strategy, to target the grieving people of the people we stole. Surely this can't be their only corporate strategy, because we also see people with families there. We see different stories. So surely there are people who are there who are not trying to forget some loss or another. Surely there are people who are there who just don't want to freaking work, who would rather forget the hours that they have to work and just sleep for their families or hobbies or whatever it is. But yeah, I'm really curious to figure out the connection, like how did they get to Mark after Gemma died? Because it had to be intentional getting Mark there, because in the previous season, we know that they wanted to test whether or not Mark remembered Gemma, and it was a comment made between them that, oh, it's great that he can't remember her, that he doesn't recognize her. So it had to be on purpose. Like they had to have been testing that. So how do they get to these people? Like, they take away their almost dead, pronounced dead family members, and how do they get to them afterwards? Helly. Could Helly be her outside person instead of Helly? I think it could, because what we know happened, we know from Milchick, right? And no way he's telling the truth. There is absolutely no way that all those 4 people from the outside joined forces to be the face of the change in Severance. No way. There's no way that happened. I don't know how they are all there. I guess we will find out next episode. But there is absolutely no way, especially after Mark's sister know that Gemma isn't dead. And that he recognized her, so she must be in there too. There is absolutely no way they would band together to support the severed floor. No way. So I want to know what's happening, and I hope they show us in the next episode. I hope it's not one of those things where we go through the whole season and only at the very end we find out whatever happened outside when the characters find out. I want to know now. But yeah, and seeing Irving, like, being willing to just walk out and be like, no, I'm gone, I'm gonna be an outie forever, because that's suicide for him. Seeing Irving, like, almost walk out was so heartbreaking. Like, this is the most heartbreaking part of the whole show, is Irving and Bert. That's his name, right? Bert. Irving and Bert, my god. If ever I want a happy ending, is for those 2 people, Irving and Bert. And you know what? This is about last season, but I'm gonna put it here. I was so happy when I was watching the last episode of the previous season and Irving found Bert's house, and instead of putting him in a family with a wife, they put him with a husband. It was beautiful. I was dreading the appearance of a woman, and a man appeared, and I was so happy. So happy. And also, we can already see how Milkshake is kind of trying to create division within the team by offering, what's his name? The guy with the family, by offering him, an extra perk to visit his family. And I mean, just in the way that he introduced this extra perk, we know for a fact that my man is not going to see his family. He's gonna see videos of his family or something like that, but he's not going to see his family. There's absolutely no way. Can you imagine you agreeing to go meet a person that is not your husband, just looks like your husband, and like letting him play with your kids and like kissing him and stuff? This is not gonna happen. But you know what? Even if we got somewhat of an answer of what the macro data refinement team does, what are the other teams for? I mean, I can imagine the team that deals with all the art being important for the overall culture of the office and for recording history in Lumon. But I mean, they do other stuff. What is that for? I mean, we saw them watering something last season. What is that for? And what are the baby goats for? And why are they taken as babies? Because the guy said, oh, not ready. What are the baby goats for? Anyway, I think there's a fair chance, a not very good chance, but a decent chance that those people are actually kidnapped and living somewhere on Lumon grounds. Okay, that is a delusional theory, but that would explain why they would all come back, right? I guess we'll see you the next episode. You can find me here next Friday reviewing the next episode of Severance. I'm so excited for this TV show, and I can't believe that I just had the ending of a great TV show, Silo, and in the very same day, the beginning of another great TV show, Severance. And I understand that a lot of people are kind of annoyed that it takes so long for these shows to get made, but I'm very happy that they are getting made, and they are getting made with decent quality, because TV wasn't always this good, guys. Like, TV used to be kind of soap opera-esque kind of stuff. Very procedural shows, very teen shows. Like, the amount of variety and quality we are getting in TV is worth the amount of time it takes. And I know that people were complaining about this with Arcane as well. It took so long, but I mean, it takes long because they are actually putting in the effort for the writing and for the way it looks and for the amount of detail they put in it. Like with Arcane and with Silo, the writing was so good, the detail was so good, like it's rewatchable. It's the rewatchability of it is insane. I haven't been able to rewatch Arcane. I want to be able to watch it so I can talk about it in a way that I wasn't able to do, because if you were here on the channel, I stopped midway through it because I was so emotional watching the whole thing. And I want to rewatch it to give you my opinion on it. And I haven't been able to do it because every time I think about rewatching, I get sad again because it was so good, but sad. So I guess that's my take. And I wanted to say it here because I know this one took 3 or 4 years to make as well, this season. Let's enjoy the amount of great TV we have and enjoy the fact that they take time to make it as good as it is. And yeah, just to give you a different perspective on that whole thing, I don't mind waiting. There's so much cool stuff to watch. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this season of television. I will be right here to review it with you and give you all of my delusional theories. It's gonna be fun. And yeah, stick around for other reviews. I am going insane on this channel because I never thought I could love watching TV shows so much, and I'm watching so many. It's so much fun. Yeah. Anyway, this is all for me today. You can clearly tell that I just had lunch because I'm so energetic. Alright guys, see you maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday. Bye bye.